Peep This Wom, or should I say, Peep This Word of Mouth. We're back with another episode, and we got some things we gonna speak about.
Speak about some craziness.
Man.
Speaking about man.
Okay.
Speaking about man. So what you think about what Doechii said?
But she was like being one of the biggest red flags is being a straight man.
Hey, red flag right here, baby.
Hey, yo.
What you think about it? How did it make you feel?
At first, I was like, what the heck? So I did a little research, and I realized she is queer/bisexual.
Okay.
And speaking of queer doesn't just deal with bisexuality. It's gender fluid, lesbians, non-binary, sapiosexuals, asexual. Like,
so I'm queer because I'm a sapiosexual.
Well, no.
I don't have a problem with somebody said that. Doesn't bother me.
No, you're not queer though.
I'm probably not. Who knows? I don't know.
But I don't know fully. I just did off a little research. So, initial reaction, I was like, what the hell? What is these people on? Is she smoking something?
So we'll bring up the picture right now. You guys can see it. But she says, Doechii reveals being a straight man is the biggest red flag when dating. Mm-hmm. Dang, I feel bad. But let's see exactly what she said. Roll the film. Let's see. Give her
Okay, what's my biggest dating red flag? Is it being on the DL? You're on the right track. I have my answer. Is it close enough? You want to guess one more time what would be a red flag for me? Bad music taste? Oh, that is a good one. Because that's one for me. That is a good one. That's not what I mean. You don't listen to Michael Jackson. But okay. Okay, this is a huge red flag for me. All right. You know what's so crazy? I was going to say men. Strike one. You're a man. Yeah. And you're heterosexual. Yeah. I was gonna say, so technically, because my mind was already there, I don't think I deserve to eat a wing. I think you do, friend. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, always go with your gut instinct. I think you need more sauce.
All right. I'm gonna throw some more sauce on it, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna throw some more sauce. I'm gonna say this. So, if I, wise guy, came on the internet and I said the biggest red flag for me when dating is just all straight women. All straight women give me the ick. Don't you think that comes off as misogynistic? Wouldn't I get accused of being a misogynist? I hate women. I should be ashamed.
Yeah, they will call you all these other names too.
Like who raised me? I must not love my mother. I must not love my sister.
These kind of conversations is interesting because I noticed women can get away with saying a lot of crazy things, but us men and our counterparts cannot.
Well,
so, for example, if I came out and I said, and please don't clip this.
I'm going to clip it.
I say, all lesbians, all blah, blah, blah are red flags. You know who all of them are coming from?
They all...
They're going to come and destroy me.
Shout out to Pride. No, we do not hate over here.
This here is acceptable. I read the comments, and I was looking at a lot of people praising. There was people that was laughing and making fun of this, but women that were praising what she said, and I'm just like,
But that doesn't sound like equality to me. That doesn't sound like fair and equal treatment. It's like, I personally feel like she was just trolling. Like, I really do think that she was just trolling and to get shock value out of this. Like, I don't think that she really feels that way. If you're bisexual or whatnot or queer, if the part of you is interested in men, okay, fine. Even if, let's say, she doesn't like heterosexual men, that's fine too. You can have your preference. But what is this need to punch down on another community that you just have a disinterest in? Like, it's fine to just say like, that's not my cake. That's why I feel like I don't like it when on other podcasts and all this other stuff and talking points when men say like, oh, you know, women need to be this and women that and bad things about women. It's like, it's okay if you don't like certain things, but you don't just have to throw all women into this basket of they're worthless. That's why I don't like it when she said straight men, you know, she's alluding to the fact that they give her the ick or whatever. First of all, it sounds like you got some issue there that you probably need to fix, but whatever. But it's just like, why come after another group if you don't need to?
I agree. Shout out to her though. Her music is fire. I like it. Also, she won what you call it?
A Grammy?
Not a Grammy. What's the one? American Music Award thing.
Excuse me?
Yeah, she did. She did her thing.
But also, we gotta stop. Yo, take this advice from me. This is my advice of the day. Stop listening to entertainers and rappers for dating advice. They don't got good dating advice. Like, They don't.
Do you have good dating advice?
Yeah, that's why I'm called Wise Guy. The F kind of question is that?
Oh, man.
You taking all this dating advice from rappers and people that's been divorced, people that ain't never been in a 2, 3, 4-year relationship, people that got all these weird addictions. You gonna take advice from them? Come on. At least take advice from somebody who's actually married happily.
Oh, so you're admitting it.
Yeah, why not?
Good.
What's wrong with that?
You heard it first.
Yeah. I don't take advice from people that have bad relationships. But speaking of bad relationships, apparently Stephen A. Smith's relationship with LeBron James is in the gutter right now.
I think it's been in the gutter for a minute.
Why you say that?
Not that they hate each other or anything, but it's one of those media versus LeBron James.
True. LeBron James has had some run-ins with the media ever since he first came in the game. Like that time when, I forget what's her name, the political commentator said he needs to shut up and dribble when talking about China-U.S. politics and whatnot. You know, shout out to him for supporting the weaker Muslims, but nowadays maybe she got a point.
Right.
Maybe some athletes do need to shut up and dribble.
Nah. You ain't gonna go. I ain't going out there that road with you. I feel like if you have something valuable to say and stuff, dribble and speak.
Then why can't Stephen A. Smith say what he said? It's his job to talk about it the same way it's LeBron James and his right to talk about whatever he wants.
All right, run the film.
I would say to LeBron James, do you not know who these NBA players are? Do you not know who your contemporaries are? Do you not know how great the NBA players are, the greatest players in the world? And your son is being exposed. Bronny James, I hope he's an NBA player someday. I'm rooting for him. I'm cheering for him all day, every day. But he's not ready yet. Opening night is one thing. Continuing him in NBA games is another. It shouldn't have been 2 games he played in, let alone 13. Come on. Right. Pop's got to step in and like, yo, I can't expose my son to this just yet. This ain't right. Respectfully, it's not right.
Okay, so Stephen feels like Bronny James is not performing at NBA level right now, and he feels like LeBron James, his father, and for all intents and purposes, the real leader of the team, needs to probably like, all right, you know, we're going to pull you back a little bit, we're going to build you up, and then we're going to put you back out. Does that sound like spicy talk to you?
Nope. But listen,
okay.
I feel like sometimes, and this is not necessarily right, but I know this with men, especially us black men, we deal with taking sometimes unnecessary anger and anguish out on somebody that might not fully deserve it. You might unleash, when media is talking bad about you and your son, but you only see one person, they get the brunt of it, just like people who work. And this is such a bad analogy, please forgive me, but they don't take that energy out on their boss. They come home and
take it out on their family,
on their wife and kids.
Yeah, it happens.
You know what I mean?
It's not always physical, but
physical, yeah. But you understand, like what I'm saying. So sometimes I think that this was it. Like they already don't have the greatest relationship. Like they weren't beefing either, because Stephen A. did say they weren't beefing. It's like a hey, keep it pushing. You know what's up? Keep it pushing. But yeah, listen, a father though. A father.
But before we go to that aspect, at the end of the day, his job is a sports commentator.
Can't fault him for that.
If his job is to comment on the performance of athletes in this space, regardless of who their father is, regardless of how they got into the game, if that's his job, why can't he mention that?
I agree with you. I agree 100% with you. But sometimes, I wish I had my chart, my chart here. You know, sometimes if you F around, you will find out.
No, I disagree. This isn't an F around and find out moment because it's as simple as you told us, and this is, I'm going off of what Stephen A. Smith said and how LeBron James presented this to us. It's exactly like when Jay-Z said,
Memphis Bleak was going to be
the next Jay-Z, and he is not the next Jay-Z. That's what we have here. LeBron James used his nepotism. Yeah, okay, if you want this for your son, you want him to be like you want him to be at this peak level, he needs to be performing at that. Now, obviously,
But
he's not going to.
you're not coming at nepotism, though. That's actually
That's another discussion.
It's a good thing because it never works in our favor.
I want to talk about that in another
just
episode.
making sure because you mentioned it. So,
That's another episode. You know, that's a bigger thing, bigger fish to fry. But you told us he's ready. You told us he's ready. So regardless if he's your son or not, you told us he's ready. But performances ain't showing that. So if it's not showing that, if you told me at a job interview, yo, I could do sequel, I could do handstands, I could code, I could pick up babies, I could put out fires. Well, God damn it, I hope you're doing that when I hire you. But if you don't perform at that, I'm gonna have some words for you.
And sometimes things just take time. They just
Naturally.
magnify. Because listen, we usually, for those who watch basketball like myself, usually don't talk about the second round picks at all.
They don't get that as much
They don't
coverage.
get that like
Second,
this
third
is-
round, fourth round picks.
Yeah, it's only 2 in basketball.
Oh, I'm thinking football then.
Yeah, but the second round doesn't get. It's usually the first 30-something teams, 31 teams, 30 teams. All right, they get it. After that, you don't really talk. This is one of those unusual cases because it's LeBron James, son. And then how he even got to the Lakers and all.
We all know what situation.
We all know that situation, right? This is what makes it a story.
Agreed.
But sometimes we gotta also let people develop, no matter how great, because we know so many people that's great in high school that just doesn't translate yet in college, and it doesn't translate, or they start doing good in college,
But
and
then
it
they don't
leads
translate to the
into
professionals.
NBA,
It's a whole
right?
different tier.
You're right. You have to learn a new thing and learn. Some people can just do it like King James, but
It don't work like that for
yeah.
everybody.
And then also, listen, it's like a father, and I believe he knows and sees the greatness in his son, but any father is going to big up their son, right?
You know what? Speaking of which, since you want to be all about the fathers today, since it's Father's Day on Peep This Wom, let's go to the next video.
And I don't know mine.
Sitting courtside, where during a timeout, I believe it was in the third quarter, I was confronted by none other than LeBron James himself. LeBron had some choice words for me in regards to comments I've made prior about him in regards to his son, Bronny James. He was fiery. He approached me during the game, and he said, "Stop effing with my son. That's my effing son. Stop effing with my son." I said, "What? Nah, man, straight up, man to man. Real talk. Stop effing with my son." And I saw how furious he was. I said, "We can talk about it later." "Nah, F that. Stop effing with my son. That's my son. I said, "All right, dog. Fine." And he walked away. That's all he said. I knew what he was talking about. I've spoken about this before. Matter of fact, I heard that not many, not all, but a few players were upset at me about that.
So first thing I'll say is shout out to LeBron James for sticking up for his son and feeling like his son was being attacked and stepping in. I support that, especially with black fathers. We don't see that a lot in the media. So kudos to him for that. That I respect. On the other hand, if my mom came up to my job and talked to my manager because I got a bad review and said, nah, stop effing with my son. Don't be talking about my son bad in reviews. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this makes no sense. Like, if you brought your son into this sports entertainment sphere, you look like you're gonna try to, you got some good choice words for me. This is good. You brought your son into this sports entertainment field. When you are in this field of work where there are so many eyes on you, where there's the cameras and the lights, you're free game. He wasn't talking about his personal life. He wasn't like some of these other outlets talking about, oh, what is it with the young black recruits dating white girlfriends and this and that. He was talking about his performance. Was he harsh? Maybe. Who knows? But I didn't like that because that felt a little bit like bullying to me. I felt like, yeah, it's a father stepping in for his son, but it did kind of feel like you're throwing your weight around because, so you mean to tell me he can do his job about everybody else, but he can't do it about this player because you're his father? That's where the nepotism starts to become a different type of monster, in my opinion. But what do you think?
Shout out to him being a father.
He's like, man, F that.
Shout out to him stepping in and holding his ground,
Oh,
putting
God.
his nuts all on his forehead.
See, you what's wrong with the black community nowadays. You're what's wrong with us.
Nah, I'm
and
not,
everybody that
I'm
agrees
not.
with you, man.
I'm not, but no. All jokes aside,
Yeah,
though,
no seriously. No seriously.
I am. One part of me is happy because as a
Yes.
father, standing up for your child, giving your child a fair shake because you know what they have done to you. For over 20 years, they've been talking about you. And from a kid, he didn't even get a chance because he was already anointed as the next.
But then why put
big
your son
thing.
in this space to begin with if you don't want that for them?
He said in an interview that he didn't choose that for Bronny. Bronny could have been anything, but Bronny likes basketball.
Yeah,
My
okay, if you
thing
say
is,
so.
again, I will go back to my point in case. He's a second round pick. Usually we don't even talk
about
about
it.
second round picks the way, but yes, there's a special case that he's LeBron James' son. Shout out to Stephen A. He did not disrespect him.
He wasn't disrespectful.
Like some other people, because we have seen and heard names like Westbrook, LeBron,
Man, I should have laughed. I'm horrible.
a lot of other
LeBron.
things. Like there's so many names that have been called to some of these basketball players that has nothing to do with just basketball,
But just the game.
right? So part of me is like, all right, maybe that wasn't the place and time, but sometimes when you see red and you go for kill mode, attack mode. I'm not saying this is right. My plan is to show you that I understand.
Man, if you don't stop with these
He
nonsense
is
ass quotes.
appreciated.
But at the same time, we gotta call a spade a spade. He's kind of throwing his weight around in this situation. You can call it Papa Bear stepping in all you want, but at the same time, you gotta be honest. It's like he's the angry dad at a high school basketball game.
That did what?
He's coming to the ref like, hey, ref, why are you harassing my son? Like, you feel personally attacked because somebody's saying that, hey. Or like, coach, how come you're not putting my son like this? You're taking it to a different level and not keeping it strictly about the game. You're making it more about you than it is about what's actually happening. At least that's how I see it. Like, I still stand by, listen, shout out to him for stepping in as a father, especially as a black father. Once again, we don't see a lot of positive black male figures, especially in the NBA. Especially in the NBA. So you get that. At the same time, I can't help but feel it still comes off as bullying in a sense because we know that you are LeBron James. We know you are this massive. You're the face of the NBA. Who's going to tell you no?
They do it all the time.
And then you're going, okay.
They do it all the time. From rejecting trades, from his input in certain things. Like at the end of the day, yes, he's the face, but he don't own no team. He still has to answer to somebody. He still has to talk. Like if they really see that this is something crazy,
Sound
he's
like
gonna
house
get
slave
fined.
mentality to me then.
He's gonna get fined.
Sound like house slave mentality to me sometimes.
Nah, I just think I just really think sometimes we forget, and this is the part where I also have to put my big boy shoes on and think about it, that he has been in a certain light that's positive. He doesn't really go too much against the grain. Like, he will speak his mind. He will say things. He stands up for justice. I remember
We
seeing
talked about
where
it with the weak
I
Muslims in
can't
China
breathe
and whatnot.
and all
I
this
stand
stuff.
by that.
I think sometimes, we forget people are humans. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to lose their temper. I'm not saying you might can't relate to this, but I know I've lost my temper. I've had it, to the point where I saw red and I just went and snapped a little bit and said a piece of my mind that could have been saved, could have been said a little bit better and stuff, but probably been frustrated with the games going on. And then you see the person and you're like, oh, wait.
Well, I do think it's a forgivable offense. Is this really the biggest thing in the world? Absolutely not. I'm not going to lose sleep over this. I really don't care. But I do think that one, it humanizes him in a certain sense where it's like, hey, we get to see what actually does truly matter to him, his son, which is fantastic. But two, I think it makes me feel like if you'll do this to Stephen A., who else would you do this to?
Hey.
Because then it makes me feel like, how else?
Skip, you next.
Man, everybody got beef for Skip. Everybody try. What happened to the lawsuit? We ain't hear nothing about the stuff with Joy Taylor and whatnot. Is that still going on?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think she got let go, or she at least not. Haven't seen her because I watch sports. What is it? FS1. She's on FS1.
Maybe they should pick us up. They need people like us.
To talk about sports.
Why not? Like, yo, we could talk about this stuff. We could talk about all the entertainment. What you call? They got what do you call that thing? They got a deficit of things that people want to listen to. We could fill. I could fill in that hour on Sports Center.
Yeah,
Why
definitely.
not? Yo, we was just over here talking about the other episode with Melissa McCardle, Honeybee. Shout out to her. Anything that's going on in sports and entertainment. Because remember, it's entertainment too.
And you know what? Speaking of, what's her name, Melissa?
Yeah, shout out to Honeybee.
Run that video again. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yo, for research purposes.
I'm joking.
See, I told you.
I'm joking.
Listen, everybody's a hypocrite. Everybody just be getting on a high horse, acting like they moral.
He's just like, for me, I'm just like, listen, there's a time and a place for everything.
Then LeBron had a time and a place to.
This wasn't the right time, but sometimes you got your frustration out. It's like,
He's not gonna lose endorsements or nothing.
no, because his career is virtually unblemished. Like, he's been with the same woman since high school.
As far as we know. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah, and he's raised 3 lovely kids, and
I've told you many times before,
So-
outside the podcast and on the podcast, a man can feed the world and go home and beat his wife. What type of man is he? All that basically to say is that you can be more than one type of person for various people, so let's not act like people are perfect.
right.
You know, like let's just, come on. Also, we still don't know what Bronny thinks.
Right. And if I was him, I wouldn't say anything. Just leave it alone. And then this, I'm glad Stephen A. took the road he could. He could have been one of those, because he has the microphone every
Which is more
day.
powerful, to be honest.
Well, yeah, he could be saying stuff to slander, but
That I wouldn't respect.
He took a high road about this. He's like, I understand where he's coming from as a father, but I was talking about his game. And I like how he smoked, because I watched the episode on ESPN. Then he came out with his own platform. Shout out to Stephen A. Smith. Please put us on your podcast. We want to talk to you about some
And
things.
he talked about running for presidency in 2028.
He-
Would you vote for
imagine.
Stephen A. Smith?
I would.
You ain't. Oh my God.
Listen. Anybody with their hairline up here,
Must be a great politician.
yeah, man, because a lot of them got a lot on his mind.
We're gonna end it there. I got nothing more to say.
Stephen A., I love you, baby.
Yo, shout out to Stephen A. Shout out to LeBron. Shout out to Bronny too.
Shout out.
Who was the first people we talked about too? Doechii?
Doechii.
Yeah, shout out to Doechii too. Yeah,
Great music.
I think you're just trolling. It's all good, you know. But hey, the same way you got an opinion, so do we. That's why it's called Peep This Word of Mouth, because that's all we got is opinions for you to hear by word of mouth. Have a good night.